Hello and welcome to the Surly Sock Gamer Club. This is Jason, aka GreywolfZX's, and this is day 5 of my Xbox modding project. Today I am going to redo the hack job I did on this solder yesterday. This is what I get for trying to work when I'm just too tired and trying to rush it, and I think now that this is just horrid, so I'm going to desolder these and see if I can improve this. I'd like to think that my abilities are far better than what's displayed here. So let's just start with getting this stuff apart. There's one. That's the black one. Now, green one. Yeah, look, that came apart real easy. Yeah, basically this means that day 4 was almost a waste, considering how I got those ends off. How hacky this ended up being. It's funny when you look at that one. These ones. Well, it looks pretty bad there. It almost didn't look so bad for a second. I still think I can do better. So let's. I think I'm going to see about shortening up or changing, cutting back this heat shrink and changing the lengths of these wires so that I can get a nice clean connection to these points here. If I'd been cutting the wires, I would have set out to strip them back at different lengths so that it wouldn't make one big blob. If you make all your connections at the same distance, then when you go to clean everything up, you got all the solder joined together in one chunk there, and you end up with this really big blob of stuff that's right there, and it doesn't look very clean. Whereas if you stagger your solder joints, you can get a much cleaner look. I think this is hilarious. You can see the insulation melted together on those two. That one might, honestly, that I think is as clean as I can get that. You can't beat the insulation molding together. I mean, the wire is following it off the top just like I want. So these wires all seem to be a good distance. I'm having second thoughts on this, the outer ground wires here. That's these guys. Let's put you down in my makeshift holder. The ones that I pulled the covering off of, and then got twisted in a mess in the middle, evidently. I'm beginning to think that maybe those should touch to something, because they make connection. So yeah, let's see those wires right there. Wow, that looks really bad. I'm thinking maybe I should ground those out, because they make a connection to this outer casing here, and I don't know how USB will work if that part isn't properly grounded. On the Xbox connectors, I don't know that grounds. Let's see. There's 5 wires inside there. If you can, yeah, you can see them there. Can we get a better look here? None on that bottom side, and then on the top side here. Not enough light, but you can kind of make out. Yeah, there we go. Keep shifting the wrong direction. You can see the 5 wires there. So we got red, white, yellow, green, and black, or well, specifically red, white, green, yellow, black is the order they're going in right here. So this outer casing does not make a connection with the connector in here, it would appear. So I think these will function without it as well, so I'm not going to worry about them. But I do want to make much better looking at least straighter. You know, I had these shooting off the sides, like, you know, 90-degree angles. That's funny. I go to try and show it, and all I can get is the thing to line up straight. You know, I had them crooked and going every which way, so that this was all fanned out and horrid looking. You know, but they are, as I mentioned earlier, all at the same length. So if I just solder these all up, you know, side by side and keep them all close, they're probably all going to short. I'm going to try and hot glue them once I get them all lined up. So there, I'm going to hold these two wires lined up on top of each other like that and see if I can get them to solder so we get a nice clean straight line there instead of coming off the side at weird angles. This is going to be a little harder than expected because I need to be able to push down on the upper wire. Maybe I can push it down here and get this to melt. Come on. Whoops, and it slipped. Still lined up. Okay, not still lined up. Left hand, you are making way too much shadow there. Even I can't see what I'm doing. Okay, and now that's all falling apart. Alright, maybe the problem is the order in which I'm trying to do these, because if you look at this wire here, or this connector, we got the white and the red are the outermost two. So I've already got the red. I should work to the white instead of I'll fold the black and green over or under or some other way. You two can go off the top there. White one, you come up here. Lean it over like that. That green one really wants to be over there. Okay. This just does not feel like they're lining up the way I want. But once again, this we'll call it my penance for trying to rush through this on the on day 4. I'm trying to work in front of this camera, and then I keep moving everything out of it, out of view. Alright, I like how the white's lined up there. Let's see if we can get the soldering iron in there to melt that and get a nice joint, which does not look like it's going to happen, especially now that they're apart. And I mentioned on day 4 I really could use some helping hands, especially for this type of thing. Although I have a sneaking feeling that experience also helps with this sort of thing. Okay, where's the tip of my soldering iron? Yeah, you can see how nasty that thing looks. And it has one spot that will melt solder, and the rest, there it is, right? And the solder doesn't stick to it. Awesome. So let's get that. Oh, there we are. And come on. Yeah, not going well. Let's find that spot again. Oh, there it is. I can identify by the silver solder. I can identify by the solder that's already there. Oh man, I'm really working on the mumbling. It's one of those things I do when I'm concentrating, which is not good for a presentation forum. Okay, there it is right there. Come on. Oh. Alright, if we can push that in, I think I can get it this time. Oh, come on, stop moving. Okay, get in there and... Alright, the white wire is now cleaner. Relative, isn't it? That still all looks so bad. Okay, let's see if we can get a decent shot of those two wires alone. You know, it doesn't look like much there, but that is cleaner the way they're coming off there versus last time when they were just coming off at odd angles. So the yellow wire is in the way. I'm going to push that down to the side here, and now we need to get the green and black wires attached. Hindsight is telling me maybe I should have cut them, made straight solder joints instead of trying to scab onto existing spots. But I decided to go with this, so let's stick through and see if we can get an acceptable result. It's not like I can't redo it again. And worst case scenario, I have a feeling you can pick up these off of eBay. I don't think you can get everything off of eBay. Okay. Got that more lined up than it was. Yeah, dealing with this connector, not my favorite thing. Alright, the green one looks more like what I wanted. Let's see if we can get this black one on here. So this thing's got a little focus ring on it, but it really is quite specific. Doesn't really autofocus much. You get it focused in with that focus ring and it just kind of stays there. Nice. Okay. Now those connections actually look well, when looking at them here, they still look really bad, but they're quite a bit better than they were. And I can, yeah, get those all cleaned up and get some hot glue on them to protect them. That'll be a little better. This other side here, it was looking pretty ragtag. Let's see if I can do the same thing over here. Get some better connections there. I am already feeling better about this than the results I started, than where I started. And let's see, this is all based on the theory that, or based on other people's experimentation, that you can hook in a straight USB flash card to the Xbox, and as long as it's of reasonable size, the Xbox will recognize it, and you can format it with I wonder if the Xbox will format it or if it can just be FAT32. It's an interesting question, because I know the Xbox has a variant of the FAT32 operating system, or I've been heard that it's a variant. It very well could just be straight FAT32. Yeah, let's try and get a good view of that. That came out a lot better. Those black wires there. That kind of comes straight off. Let's see about who's next. It will be the green wire. So there's our green wire, and here's our green lead. hoped that I'd had that this upper camera here would show more. I've got it leaned down. Lean it down some more. Yeah, not much of an improvement. But, alright, hold there. I got a grip on you too, if I can line you up there. And sliding it out of the way because I need to use that hand to grab some solder. Because I'm pretty sure I'll need a little bit more for this. Let's line that back up and try and get there. Alright, under the camera, and woo, hack solder job. And once again, better than what I did yesterday. These are still not stellar solder joints, but they should be good enough for what I'm trying to do here. And I cut all these wires the same length, yet these don't seem to line up quite right. You know, it's like the green and black wires are longer, or I just stripped these ones in a less correct spot. So I wonder if we can cheat that a little. Let's go here, because if I'm really going to put a big old dab of hot glue on this, it won't matter so much. Maybe I can split the insulation higher up and slide the chunk down. Although it doesn't appear that I have the grip in my fingers to do that. This stuff, I hate it when it stretches. Okay, got it. Slide that chunk down over. Yeah, this is some real high quality work we're doing here. I was going to say, hence the reason I chose controller ports 3 and 4, because honestly, if I get 3 or 4 friends together, well, who knows? You guys may want to go for a nostalgia night. Do a little original Xbox gaming. You get out of there. And of course, it looks like where I stripped that is still... Now it's too far the opposite direction. I think I can make it work. Right. I've got these 2 white wires here, fighting with them. This, there we go. I'll actually get a little twist in there on those ones. Hey, and they're holding themselves together. Let's see if we can just flow this joint correctly. Put some heat on it. Put some solder in there. Solder does not want to flow. There we go, getting a little flow there. And still end up with a pretty big glob. I'd kind of hoped it would flow out over the whole joint. But that's going to work for right now. Like I said, this is a huge improvement over where it was. Now, I don't think I'm going to do that same thing with this red one, because even after all that, it still doesn't seem lined up quite right. So, yeah, I'm still going to have this fold in the blacks and the greens here, so let's get these 2 together. Try and keep the yellow one out of there. And I'll just do what I can to get this as clean as possible after I... Oh, look at that. Gotta twist in it again. So if you take away anything from watching this, it is get the wires twisted around each other so that in the... Yeah, see, that one flowed much better. Yeah, the solder flowed through them. We got what looks like a pretty decent joint there. So, the results of our new soldering job. These ones are much closer together, although when zoomed in they look pretty bad. And then these ones, not much improvement, I guess, but stronger joints. Let's see if I can make this show what I'm trying to do on this group of wires here. So I've got all the weird lengths there. You can see like the white ones and the black ones. So what I'm going to try and do is pull, get them so they all fold in correctly, so I can get nice and lined up. I don't care if they kind of fold back over themselves. Want them to look a little better like the other side does. And then, yeah, that all lines up better. Okay. And if I were to just put a big glob of hot glue on it, just like that, all of these connections would bridge and everything would look cord, or heck, things would probably break and short out. And so now I'm going to, after fighting to get all those in close proximity, I'm going to pull them back apart and put a little hot glue over each connection to cover it up. I don't know how the hobby electronics lasted without hot glue. Okay, got a nice string there. I was looking into getting some liquid electrical tape, but I didn't make it to the hardware store in time, and I don't really have any experience with that, so I cannot say that it would necessarily work for what I'm doing here. Glob of hot glue, out of focus glob of hot glue. That was the white one. Let's do the red one. I will be surprised. Well, I won't be surprised. I honestly think they're not bridging, but what I will do is I will get my multimeter out and I will make sure they're not bridging. As much as this is an experiment, I think I've stated previously, I don't want to kill the Xbox. Want to have fun with it. I don't want to make this a big waste of time project. Maybe the purpose of this project is to be a cautionary tale to someone else. Take your time, don't do lame things like this guy. Alright. That glob of hot glue is ready. I think everything's covered, and I don't think I have any bridges. Like I said, I'll double check that with the multimeter. Make sure that continuity is only where it's supposed to be. It'll be difficult. I'm going to have to get a little pin of some sort to put in there. I might be able to get the tip in on these little points right there. Whoop. Holding it at the wrong angle. You can see the little metal contacts in there and the little splits. I might be able to get the tip of the probe in there and be able to check with that. I know I'll be able to check over at this end because I've got all these connection points. I could actually, instead of going there, just go straight to the connection points and make sure that they don't bridge. if I don't get any bridging here, then I should, the test from here to here is just to make sure that my solder job was actually sufficient to make a connection, which I'm quite certain my solder job's good enough to pass electricity. Whoop. I'm trying to be conservative with the glue, the hot glue, because A, I don't want too much on this, and B, I only have what's left of this one stick in the glue gun at the moment. I got a whole bag of more sticks somewhere, but I don't know where it is off the top of my head. Oh. And from the look of what's left in that, it looks like I might be having to put a pencil in there or something to make up the gap to get the rest. Alright, that's the white one. Let's get this green one. And I really want to test this on in this video, but this might be getting quite a bit long-winded by the time I do the continuity tests to make sure I don't have any bridge connections. Let's see. Well, that'll be project goal from here on out, to plan out my work better so that I end up with some cleaner results. Oops. But at the end of right now, I've got everything covered. I was a little worried about this red wire right there, but it's just because I can see through the glue. So, and there we go. Big old globs. But the wires are actually much more cleanly together. And I'm hoping when I put this all back in, I should be able to just tuck this guy, that'll clip, and this guy I should be able to tuck in somewhere. Who knows, I might have, because I have all these exposed electrical connections, might have to, cover it in like a plastic bag or something and zip tie it to the power cables here. I don't know, I'll figure something out. I really don't think that'll be the most difficult part of this. Okay. Let's see what we get. Wow. Oh, that was pretty good. I hate the glare. Well, that looks good on the camera, but it's leaning the opposite direction of where I'm going to be reaching. Okay, so, okay, that's working. Now, just for the sake of these, reach around the pole, these two should, I need to back it up a little, don't I? Or lean you up a little, get a more full but more blurry view of this. These two should short, because yeah, these two should, because they're both, well, that's way too blurry. Oh, you know what? Let's set something heavy on it. There we go, something heavy, which is right in the way of where I need to, okay. Move you into there. Slide you there. Okay. What I was testing was these outer two most pins. They should definitely make a beep because they're both grounds. Oh, nice. All that work to get the multimeter in the shot, and then I put my hand on it. So there we go. So let's start with, well, if I start with, start with that pin. None of these should, except for that very first one. Now, if you watch the EEV blog with Dave Jones, he talks about latching inside a multimeter so that you can just drag to test for continuity to see if you've got any shorts. So far this is going pretty well. Alright, our first real pin. Yeah. That thing's flexing. Gotta keep my eye on that. Yeah, no, nothing there. Okay. Next. This is going well. But as a we'll call it as a mental check, I should double check to make sure I do get continuity on some other things, because if I don't get continuity on things where I should have continuity, then that could mean that my testing is flawed. Alright, pull you out of the way. On this little white connector here, I'll just start putting in, put one pin there, stop rotating when I put pressure on you, there we go, and see if I can get, yeah, see, that's what I was worried about. Alright, that was frustrating. Let's start at the other side. Go here, because I keep pushing on the area. Yeah, that was me touching the probes together. Alright, now I should. Okay, that's a good sign. Especially that it was only that one. Okay, let's move over to the next one. This is kind of, like I said, a double check here. As long as only one pin on each connector shorts, then I'm good there as well. Alright. And there will be the possibility that I won't get any shorts on a couple of these because I do have those. Oh, no. Well, yeah, on some of the pins, but on the connector here, all these wires, well, except for the yellow ones, should go back to here, but these two on the outer edge here don't connect to anything because that's the internal ground plane, or that's the ground plane here and the outer case ground. And by case, I mean the case of the USB socket. So just that one. Good. Let's make sure I'm not hitting two at the same time. Okay, that's looking good. Let's try and do the one that was flipping on me. Nice, okay. Now, this might be more difficult because I've got to flip the connector over. Yeah, I don't know if I'm coordinated enough to do this. I have to hold it with one hand while probing, while simultaneously probing, so that the other hand can push down on the pin. So, well, it looks like I am. darn it. Come on. No, I didn't get the shot I wanted anyway. Having this little camera here to try and work with is really kind of a pain. Okay. Got my connector. Come on, get in there. Okay. That one, no. That one, yes. No. I'm feeling positive about it. But when it slips like that, well, hence the drag technique. Alright, that was a good sign. That one's a yellow one, so I'm not going to test it. That one doesn't have a wire. That one's a red. Let's see what we can get here. Come on. Okay. And I believe I mentioned this, but doing this is also checking if I've got shorts, because as long as only one pin. Alright. That looks to me electrically good. As far as shorts are concerned. Plug this darn thing into the Xbox and see if we get something. I'm just going to go straight into using that USB stick that I showed in day 4. I'll show it again as soon as I finish fighting getting this in. A little bit of magic to getting these USB ports in as far as I'm concerned. Granted, they weren't designed to be pulled in and out. Anyway, yeah, I'm just going to go straight test on this guy just right off the bat. Let's, of course I got to put enough of this together for it to actually function. That could have been better thought out. The way this connector goes into here, I kind of soldered on the wrong side, but there we go. Now, like I said, also on day 4, I bought a pre-made Xbox to USB converter, and in the end it just felt like cheating. Oh, you stay on this side. And there I was thinking I need to fit it under the yellow wire, but no, it goes backwards, dummy. That's almost funny. Does it really go this way? It's got to. That's the only way it'll fit. I didn't remember those being this hard to work with. Okay. That makes this an easier connection as well. Power cord still wants to be in the way. And once again, argument for putting the clips together before you put the board into the thing. Yeah, I think I'll have enough space that can fit this guy in over here or something. Okay, on that note, I'm going to unplug the hot glue gun. Look at that. Hey, everything's fitting together. Oh, well, that would be stupid, pushing this up against the casing there. All the metal connections. Yeah, not my brightest move. Now, what can we do to combat that in the short term, maybe in the long term? Pick a piece of this ribbon cable and we'll just make it a little longer. Now, like I said, I'm just shooting for a temporary solution for putting this together to test, because I don't think the hard drive will come in there. And this should be more than enough to insulate to keep this from hitting and shorting out. Yeah, that'll do the job. All right, I'll just set that right there for now while I fight with the rest of this. I might be overestimating the amount of space I will have with which to work after the hard drive is in place. So, okay, let's start with you. Aha! All the weird twists in the cable, because it's not the cable properly made for the Xbox. It's one I think I will have to use because I'm going to use the SATA to IDE adapter. A lot harder to get things into. No, lean you up even further. Yeah, I'm sure everybody wants to see my shorts. Real professional camera work going on here. In case you hadn't figured it out, that is my day job. And in case you didn't figure it out, I'm being facetious. That was my sarcasm voice, which most people can't tell from my regular voice because I tend to spend most of my time being sarcastic. Okay. You get to go up over the side. You're going to go here and in through this. Yeah, test fit. Hey, look at that. It would totally cover. Just setting it in there. Yeah, it's right on top of what I wanted to have. And now I see those wires were too short. But testing purposes, can I, in fact, hook this up without properly installing a hard drive enclosure? I think I can. The real trick is, can I balance this thing? Yes, I can. All right. Let's stand up and get in here. If you see my t-shirt, I'm actually quite proud of it. Okay. Connections are made. Now, this thing has been unplugged from power for quite a while now. If it remembers the date, that will be amazing, because that'll mean the capacitor replacement worked much better than I expected. Okay. You're on. You're set to the correct thing. Power. Everything's turning on. It looks... Oh. Haha. Dummy. There's Xbox. Controller. Yeah. It did not remember the time. Not of grand concern. And now if I can just find where I set the USB on the... Oh, fell on the floor. This will be interesting. Like I said, I don't expect this to actually work, but I wanted to test and see what we get. Memory, hard drive. I think I once owned a USB, one of the memory adapters. Did not work. I wonder. I'm just gonna muck about here for a second. Yeah, not getting any results off that. Try the other side just in case it was a wiring issue. The other thing is this memory stick may not be a good one to use for this. It was a promotional unit, and those are sometimes, we'll say, flashed with a different kind of firmware on them so that they show up as a different type of device. I've had ones that'll show up as two devices, a virtual CD-ROM and a memory stick. Alright, well, I don't appear to have another USB memory stick handy, so I'll go see if I can find one, and we'll continue from there, because I just want to see if I can get a, well, this is where I'm going to stop for now, and day 6 will be seeing about getting a USB memory stick to work. Alright, have a good evening.